what were you looking for in markets, and how did that like idea evolve for you till you got to Jacksonville?
Again, I had been, I do a lot of research and reading before I pull the trigger on something. So I had been doing this research for a number of years and kind of narrowing down or finding various potential markets that I would want to invest in out of state. Just read webinars and so forth. And property providers were presented within this network I was involved in, and an education network. They didn't do any direct selling, but so I'd had a fairly good idea. I had kind of fairly good idea of certain criteria. I wanted to be in the Sun Belt. I definitely wanted to diversify and not be in, say, all state, various cities all in Florida or something. So in 2017, when I sold a commercial property, larger property, and timing was right, it was just one of those things kind of came up. And again, I was in a partnership with that and general partnership. But so the partners decided, it was time, and turned out to be a very good time to do it. So basically, everybody, as the sale was coming up, it took a while to go through. It takes a long time, a number of months. And when it looked more like it was going to happen, I already had Jacksonville in my radar. I'd already researched the MSA. I have certain criteria I tend to look for, and things I know Greg's talked about, you've talked about on the show: steady population growth, the in-migration trends, the U-Haul trends, who's moving in and out, certain areas, certain positive, what I think are positive market factors, schools, medical, and care, quality, that type of thing, military installations, climate, a lot of things. And I didn't want to be in real volatile markets. There are some over time when I was following this. Vegas, I think at one point was quite volatile, went up really fast, and then it went down really fast. So I was looking for real stability again. That was my quest. And then I was also looking at Texas and Ohio at the time, and other states. So it kind of had it somewhat narrowed down. Then when it was getting close to the closing on that property, I thought, I really need to make a decision. So I decided to take all of the profit or capital out of that deal and just basically allocate it amongst 3 different market areas fairly equivalently. So that, and then, of course, I talked to different providers that kind of was connected with, and when JW, that's how I ended up with JWB. So I was really confident and fairly confident in them at the time, and more confident now. So,
well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a second. So what I'm hearing from you is, something that, like you said, we do talk a lot about on the show. It's always great to hear it from someone. Basically, this idea of a stable, long-term growth market, and this idea that it's funny, right? If you've listened to the show a lot, you know that I come from Miami, and I make every comparison to Miami all the time, and I never shut up about that because it's part of my identity. But when first time I went to Vegas, I was like, oh, this is like a manufactured Miami, just based on like South Beach and the Strip, right? But now I see it more from an economic development perspective of like, oh yeah, it's one of these towns where construction and hospitality creates these like big boom or bust cycles based on how people are traveling there and like discretionary income and these kinds of things. So it can look really, really sexy at sometimes, and then other times you lose your shirt. So that's an interesting observation. So we talk a lot about this idea of Jacksonville having like a non-sexy, well-balanced economy of logistics and military and healthcare and finance and fintech. And, maybe fintech sounds sexy, but everything else is not like one of these things where people are rushing to go to bet on the upside of. They're just betting on this kind of like constant need for it. And I wonder, when you were looking at stability, you mentioned the U-Haul report, you saw that there was like an in-migration to the Sun Belt. When you're looking for a well-balanced economy, what are the factors you look at? Are you looking at industry mix? Are you just kind of looking at long-term performance and
most definitely, I ruled out, when I had various ones I was considering, I was looking definitely for a balanced, diverse business economy, or, different types of industries. So it was well balanced. I mean, I actually looked at Orlando as well, but to me, that was all tourism and Disney World. So it just kind of didn't check the box, I guess, as you would say. But so that is a key factor, and the lifestyle features with the other, with, access to, education for residents as well, education, medical care, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Parks, climate, good outdoor activities and so forth. But definitely I did look at, again, reading a lot and hearing webinars and things at the time, or watching webinars that, that it seemed Jacksonville had a really stable but growing business environment with businesses relocating to the area. And that's kind of how I selected the markets that I went to is this, does this seem viable long term? Because this was a long term. I wasn't looking to invest and then cash out a couple of years or something. So looking to hold.